things that are worth your attention.
I'm just so grateful that you joined us.
It is a pleasure.
Welcome to Media Path. I'm Fritz Coleman.
And I'm Louise Palanker.
Today we're going to dive into the longest running complete improv comedy group after our inspection on the planet. Still active, still killing it. We have members of Off the Wall, improv legends. Many famous actors are alumni of Off the Wall. The group is celebrating their 50th anniversary, and we will celebrate with them here. We don't have any craft services or baked goods or anything, but we're going to celebrate with them. We have 3 of their members. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, Andrew Jameson is returning. He's got a wonderful social service documentary series called Faces of the City. These 6 mini docs have found a home, and we're going to tell you where you can find them and what they're about, and they're really worth listening to your time. Weezy, what do you have?
Fritz, are you ready for modern monkeys?
Oh, yeah.
And I do mean we're spelling that with 2 E's at the end, as in Davy, Mickey, Mike, and Peter. Modern day monkeys. The Runarounds are a fashioned for TV band, but they are a real band. They can really play. They will really tour, but they were cast individually to star in a prime TV show called The Runarounds. The show they star in is scripted and fictional, but the writers are basing storylines on real events that have happened to the cast members. So here's how it all came to be. Director and co-creator Jonas Pate, who also brings us Outer Banks, a popular Netflix show, asked the cast of that show to post a casting call for actor-musicians to their social media accounts. Jonas chose 5 kids from the 5,000 who applied. He had them jam together, do some club dates, and then appear on his show Outer Banks as a house band. And creator Jonas Pate's daughter, Lila, has a big part in the Runarounds. It's a fun and funny show. There are also adult storylines. It's sort of like those windows of opportunity where do you go run away with the band or do you go to college, which you guys probably all faced in your improv careers. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on. I recommend it. It's called The Runarounds, and it's on Prime.
Yay, Runarounds.
Well, have you watched it?
No.
Well, this is where we discuss it. Do you think it's a good idea to cast people to play musicians who are musicians, and do they have a shot at becoming teen idols?
Worked for the Monkees.
It did.
I opened for Mickey Dolenz in Palm Springs once, and he used a walker to get out to the center of the stage, and it made me very sad.
It's a circle of life, Fritz. It's a circle of life.
Well, I'm going to talk about an HBO series called Task. Full disclosure, Weezy, this is a dark show. You ain't going to like it. You're going to be more disturbed than entertained, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway because, as you know, my soul is a lot more damaged than yours is.
This is true.
This is a story of an FBI task force assigned to the blue-collar suburbs of Philadelphia to solve a series of robberies committed by a gang headed, ironically, by a family man. Brad Inglesby created and produced the series Mayor of Easttown, which I loved because it was based on the area of the western suburbs of Philadelphia where I was born and raised. He attended Villanova University, which is 5 miles from my house. Our current pope was a student there. Inglesby, as he was with Mayor of Easttown, is a stickler for getting the accents perfect. These Philadelphia accents that are very singular, like water for water and dang for don't. Even Kate Winslet, who is a Brit, and 2 other actors who are Australian, had to study and master the accent for Mayor of Easttown. Anyway, Inglesby does the same thing for this series. Mark Ruffalo is the star. Does his best acting ever in this. He's really good. It's an interesting backstory. He's a lapsed Catholic priest who got married, has a family, and became involved in the Bureau as a chaplain and worked his way up to agent. I love Mark Ruffalo because it was refreshing that he didn't do any soliloquies about tainted water or industrial waste. I have a lot of respect for Mark Ruffalo's environmental things. He's not that. This is dark, but it's wonderful acting. Even the bad guys are terrific. Great depiction of my hood. 4 episodes have dropped. A new one drops every Sunday. It's called Task.
And what's it on?
HBO.
HBO. Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. So that's really 2 good recommendations, at least 2 out of 2.
Can you guys see Task?
Yeah. We've been watching it. Oh, it's really good.
I think the acting, especially the bad guys, are so good.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, they're so convincing.
Yeah, the bad guys are really good.
Yeah,
and the good guys, well, unfortunately, they're really
mediocre.
I've been in Philadelphia once. I looped something. I was there overnight, left the next day. But I saw the Liberty Bell, and I asked somebody how to pronounce Schuylkill.
Perfect. You did it precisely right. Some people say Schuylkill.
Oh yeah, or
Schuylkill,
or
yeah. No, it was a great place.
Well,
to
I had somebody on the
from.
train. I just right.
I think you made good use of your time.
It's a little Dutch village,
If
right?
you like history, it's a spectacular city. I mean,
sure.
I grew up right
Oh, yeah, I
next
went to
door.
Constitution Hall, too. Oh, yeah.
Oh, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
I grew up right next door to Revolutionary War Cemetery, and
Yeah.
I learned to sled in Valley Forge Park. I mean,
Wow.
it was amazing.
My dad was born in South Philly.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Went to Temple.
I went to Temple, too, for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I did in Philadelphia? I stood near those steps to see how many people were humming the Rocky tune when they.
And were they? Did they? A
Oh.
lot?
Here comes a friend, the chairman of the Salvation Army Metro Advisory Board on which I serve. He's a guy devoted to making other people's lives better. He's also the chairman of a company that has produced 6 mini docs called Faces of the City. They explore growing points of hope among areas of crisis in the city of San Francisco and the unintended consequences of the tech boom up there, like gentrification, homelessness, crime. The first 3 have been released on Roku. So since last we spoke, they found a home in the free. Roku's a free streaming service. Even though they focus on San Francisco, what makes these docs relatable is these are all problems that are becoming increasingly prevalent in all mid-sized and large American cities. Andrew Jameson, welcome back.
Good to be back. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations on Roku. These docs need to find a lot of eyeballs because I think they have so much to offer. They illustrate that there are areas of hope and positivity lurking within some of the most complicated problems of life in the Bay Area. And these hopeful people doing hopeful work will be a template in solving issues in any city around the United States, really. Now, the first 3 episodes have dropped. Each focuses on a different ethnic group. Talk about those ethnic groups.
So the 3 films that are currently on the Roku platform are the doc about JCYC, which is the Japanese advocacy group working in San Francisco. There is one about Calle 24, which focuses on the Latino advocacy group in the Mission District. And the third is about Booker T. Washington. I'm sorry, it's about YCD, rather, which is a force for good for the African-American community in San Francisco.
That's awesome. And I think the big issue in the first 3 is gentrification, as far as I'm concerned, because Silicon Valley has priced middle and low income people out of the marketplace up there. Service people have to go an hour and a half to get to work in the day because they can't afford to live there. And I think that's a problem that's happening in lots of major cities. You know, the disparity between the rich and the poor, the overpriced housing market, it's really tough. And I think you're pointing out great things that work everywhere. Do you think the ICE situation has made any difference up in San Francisco? Do they feel the threat like we do?
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I spoke with the head of Calle 24 this morning, and I asked her that very question, and she said, you know, now more than ever before, a group like Calle is necessary to defend those that don't necessarily have the ability to defend themselves. And I think in this age of ICE, it's crucial that those that don't have a voice have an advocacy group that can provide one for them.
Each of these 3 docs feature just outstanding personalities that are driven by activism. Point some of those out for us and share some of the work that they do, because it's possible to spend your life, every day of your life, just doing for others in a way that makes a huge difference. And I'd love for you to highlight some of these people.
Absolutely. And that's really a touchstone for me when I came on to do this project. You know, I know the medium is so powerful, and I really wanted to see if we could inspire young people to consider a life of service in some way, shape, or form, because we need more volunteers. We need more people that are highly educated and that can advocate on a high level for those that cannot. And, you know, Calle 24 is a great example. There is a woman named Susana Rojas who leads that organization. And she, for example, brought in a 73-year-old woman who moved to San Francisco from Mexico City, was actually opening up a folding card table on 24th Street to try to sell jewelry. And they were able to help her get a brick and mortar location. And so her life was immediately changed by that experience. At YCD, you know, they have job training programs that get people a skill, that give them the opportunity to find a constant source of revenue. You know, JCYC also starts with the youth of that district and gives them a focus on education, a focus on college placement, a focus on a pattern of growth that allows them to break the cycle of poverty and really provide for the next generation. And I think in this series of documentaries, you will see people like DJ Brookter, who's the head of YCD, who frankly could very well run for public office one day. He's that charismatic and impactful to his community. And this project just showcases the heroism of those that do this every day. And instead of something else, to make people's lives better.
Yeah, and you're posing the city in a good light. Not all of it, but little points of light in the city. So are you getting any buy-in from city government? Are you people recognizing that this is great public relations for the city of San Francisco and helping you out?
They do, but I will tell you that when we were making these, Fritz, it was really important for us to make sure that we weren't making a commercial for any particular cause or organization. We tried to be as fair and balanced as we could and capture what actually existed. And I think people have responded to that because, again, originally I was approached by people that said, look, the narrative in San Francisco is not as dire as you hear about, on the 6 p.m. news. And there are people doing incredible work, and we want to showcase that. And once I met them and had that opportunity to see that, I wanted to make sure that their stories were told. And because I think within any city, there's good, there's bad. I mean, certainly Los Angeles is no stranger to that. But there are moments of inspiration that I think we need to focus on it and highlight.
Are there any stories that have changed since you shot the docs? Now they're airing. A lot of this was filmed during COVID. Can you give us an update on anybody?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go back to 24th Street and see the work that they're doing. I visited a woman named Diana Medina who has her brick and mortar location, and I'm happy to say she's thriving. On 24th Street, her life has been transformed, and she was sort of at the beginning of that journey when I first encountered her when we filmed in the latter part of 2023. There are people that have been given the opportunity through YCD to go to college. It's at schools like Sacramento State, and so you're seeing these young people graduate and go on to careers. And actually, and this is a great development. You sort of give back and go back to community and really pay their blessings forward to the next generation of kids that are trying to improve their lives.
Let me tell you, Andrew has devoted his whole life to making people's lives better. I'm going to brag on him for a minute. About 3 weeks ago, he organized a homelessness symposium in downtown LA. It was the third year we did it, but this was the best year, where we had people who were, willing partners in the homelessness crisis, people that ran nonprofits. Mayor Bass was our keynote speaker. She was brilliant. I thought, why doesn't she go on TV and do that same monologue she did about homelessness? I think she'd make a lot of fans. And then we had other people from other nonprofits, and you interviewed Bob Blumenfield, who's a city councilman, and I got a chance to interview Wendy Gruhl and a couple of these people. And I thought I was very proud of the way that played out, and you did a spectacular job, and people should know about it. Thanks for being here, my friend. Congratulations on being on Roku. And so it's 3 now. When will the next 3 drop?
Well, we're in the process of getting them ready right now. So we're excited that they are the first half of the series has dropped, and we're looking forward to getting the other 3 up hopefully before the end of the year, if not by Q1 of next year.
I'm sure you'll get good response.
Wonderful. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
being there, bud.
Your good work
You
with
have
us.
Again,
you
I
don't
really
have
appreciate
one
it.
stain on your white shirt. It's very impressive.
He's going to go eat now and make some changes there.
All right, we'll see you later, Andrew. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right, now we're going to spend some time with 3 members of the world's longest-running complete improv troupe, Off the Wall. Former members of the group include Robin Williams, Chevy Chase, Jim Belushi, George Wendt, God rest his soul, and John Ritter. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, and we're ecstatic, not so much to talk to them, but we got a free T-shirt out of the deal.
Yeah, we got
which is
shirts.
free.
Yeah.
And we have Andrew Goldberg, Wendy Cutler, and Paul Willson. Andrew and Wendy are original members. Paul missed being an original member by 6 months, but he didn't get the memo. He wasn't there in time. The fun thing is these guys have stacked up countless movie and television credits in their careers, which they had to do in order to afford to do improv at night. Andy did Full House, The Practice, It's Garry Shandling Show. He wrote the book Improv Comedy. Wendy's been seen on Ally McBeal and ER. Paul did 55 episodes of Cheers. Oh my gosh. And 47 episodes of It's Garry Shandling Show and The Connors and The Big Bang Theory. What a list of talent. And so when you say we were talking about this specificity of you're the longest running total improv show, meaning you don't do scripted things later on in the night. Everything is improv from start to finish.
Lay it down on my table. Crack my back if you're able.
I made some toads. Watch what happens when you put them in the microwave. They're bigger now.
We're not here for that. We are here to conduct business. No, for me, senor, for me is the same.
And now, it's completely off the wall.
We can't remember enough words to do a sketch.
Okay, so 1975 you started. Give us the origin story, Paul Willson.
Well, I was not there at the very beginning. I landed on Plymouth Rock 6 months later, so I shouldn't be the one to tell this part of the story.
Oh, it all started in a dance studio on Fairfax Avenue, and I met Dee in a comedy club, actually. Went to do some stand-up. I played my guitar, and she said, hey, I'm starting a workshop, and you want to be in it? And I said, oh, okay. And then, I don't know, a month or two later, she started a show, and Wendy and I were original members, and there were 4 others.
That's how I almost joined the Moonies. You gotta be careful.
Did you have improv experience before Off the Wall?
I had done some in college. I didn't know what it was called. I just was making stuff up.
Making stuff up.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what you do when you haven't read the material.
Wow.
Well, I can tell my personal story.
Yeah.
Which is just that I came down to Los Angeles several times. I was in a group called the Pitchell Players, which began in 1966 in San Francisco. And we played the Ash Grove, which was where the Improv is now.
I know. I've people talk about that.
Oh, it was a great place. It really was. But you had to watch out. You had to make sure you got your money. But, because it was a club.
It was kind of a folk club, right? It was comedy.
Mostly folk and blues, yeah. And it was sort of like, it was like the working class cousin of the Troubadour.
Oh.
It existed before the Troub. And I remember the first time we played there in 1969, there was a sign in this shower room that they had upstairs in the office. It was a sandwich board, and it said, Linda Ronstadt, tonight. Because apparently whenever any act dropped out, she'd be available. This is before she was Linda Ronstadt, So it was like, Linda, the Persuasions dropped out. Could you come and, and she would. We never saw her there, unfortunately. But then later on, they had a series of fires, and the Improv and the Ash Grove decided to call it quits. So
maybe they should never have called themselves the Ash Grove.
Yeah.
Well, it's an old folk song.
Okay.
But
it just invites.
Is that when
It
Bud
does
Friedman
invite it.
bought
Well done,
and turned it into the Improv?
Well, there was in between. It was the Pitchell Players Cabaret, and the business, not the building, but the business was bought by Roger Bowen, who was in the committee and had been an original member of the Compass Players and Second City, and his wife Ann, who was the director of the Pitchell Players. So these were basically my 2 mentors, and they bought the business, and we ran for about a year or so. But the problem is we were the first group ever to have a union contract, and the union closed us.
Really?
Because we weren't making enough business. Again, because, it's a tough city to make a living on acting or doing improv. So it became an open mic place, actually, before it was the Improv.
It's a showcase town. And
Yeah.
stand-ups suffer from the same thing. They pay you by giving you stage time.
And drinks.
And drinks.
Yeah.
Give us some history of the art of improv, because you guys it was the right thing for you at that time in your lives when you were discovering who you were, just to be this free within the boundaries of improv that are such good tools for life. And so give us some history about how this art form was created.
Well, I know, I remember hearing about Viola Spolin and
Right.
reading her book and so forth. And I know Dee Marcus was a big Viola Spolin fan. I think she had done some workshops with her when she was up in Palo Alto. And Dee Marcus, who founded this workshop, and which became Off the Wall, had her own group called the Illegitimate Theater, and they performed up in San Francisco and Palo Alto, and came down. They did the Merv Griffin show and the Joey Bishop show. So they had a little momentum going, and Johnny Carson, and they had momentum going. And they called. Dee said that they called him, and one of the who was the director, can't remember his name right now, but
Phil.
Yeah, Phil Schultz said, "Oh, we're not interested," without consulting anyone in the group, which pissed Dee off. But anyway, Dee decided to quit and whatever she was doing in San Francisco, which was teaching and being a mom, and coming down to Los Angeles to start this workshop. And as I was telling Fritz earlier, I was kind of knocking around, trying to decide if I was going to drop out of college. And I was working on a suicide hotline, and my mom knew I was a little depressed at the time. And she, having been a friend from her acting youth with Dee, said, "Why don't you come to the improv workshop, Wen? And it's just starting up. It should be a lot of fun. I think you'd like it." I don't know. And so I went, and it was honestly like somebody gave me a drug I couldn't say no to. It was yes and for the rest of my life, and I've been doing it for 50 years. But you asked about the history, so I know that Second City, of course, and before Second City, Compass Players before that, a long history and a beautiful history.
And Viola Spolin was teaching children with these games in the 40s, I think.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, they were theater games. She didn't think it should be performed on stage.
She didn't think it should be performed, but I think Compass Players Second City started, with these groups. I mean, we have members, Bernadette Burkett and Tom Tully, who were in, Bernadette was in Second City, and Tom was in the touring company, and they, they got paid, and they did 8 shows a week, whereas we did at our heyday like 3 shows a week.
So the theater games were probably just so much fun and so hilarious
fun.
Somebody in that sort of coffee house era.
Exactly.
Remember?
Was it her son?
Well, I think in 1954, a guy named David Shepard got together with Paul Sills, who was Viola Spolin's son, and started a workshop that was devoted to satire, to covering the news. It was like
that was Second City, right, Paul?
No, this was the Compass Players.
Oh,
became the Compass Players before, and they. Their whole idea was they wouldn't be a professional theater. This would be like a working class kind of thing, where the news would be dramatized, but then it also gradually morphed into more of a structured show in which one of the members, and Roger Bowen did most of them, would write scenarios which were basically like a treatment, and then the actors would improvise the scene, which would be a longish scene, based on that scenario. And this became gradually a sketch situation, and then it dissipated, and then Second City started, which turned it into a nightclub basically. But they had an audience and everything for Compass Players too, and it was all sort of situated around the University of Chicago. A lot of the people involved in it, and most of the audience were. That was
the Nichols and May era, right?
Well, yeah, I guess they were. I guess they were around there practically at the beginning, but many of the people who were there in the very beginning, you probably never heard of, like people like Mickey LeGlaire. But Ed Asner was around in those days, and there are other people whose names, of course, I can't think of at the moment because I need to. But
that was a.
But really, I mean, improvisational theater goes back to Commedia, and the traveling players, and what Commedia dell'arte actually means is professional actors, because there'd be these community theaters that were all amateurs, and it was illegal actually to. I think to have a professional company, so I don't remember exactly how they finagled it, but of course, Italy was 17 different provinces then, so I guess they could play one against the other. But that's how improvisational theater on stage started. And of course, there's apparently a lot of Shakespeare's plays were semi-improvisational as well.
Sure.
And then he put them all down in a script and took credit for them.
Yeah, he caught it.
I get that.
Right, but there had to be throughout the ages every combination of people putting on a show in every possible type of way, because way before you could record things, we've been entertaining each other.
Yes, and I think when you look at, oh, sorry, Andy.
Okay. I was going to say, when I was 10 years old or younger, we did the variety show for polio in my parents' garage. And we used the garage door as a curtain, and we improvised a show, basically.
That's fantastic. So you wrote a book called Improv Comedy.
Improv comedy.
And so tell me the 2 or 3 things that are required for improv.
Well, the main rules, I guess, are yes and, where you agree with what the other person has said and then build on that. So there's no denial. Play the reality of the situation. Sure, now I have to remember the 4 rules. Where's my book when I need it?
They're common sense.
They are.
Yeah, they are. Be in the moment.
Yeah. Listen.
And
listen.
you started
listen.
as a stand-up, and it uses a whole different set of muscles, doesn't it?
You know, I didn't do stand-up. I played the guitar.
Oh, okay.
I was like kind of a comedy folk singer, I guess.
Okay.
So I would bring my guitar in places and just do comedy songs and some patter in between.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I did. I played a song on stage when Dee was there called Chevy Chase, Old Malacca, Studwar Linkabaker, which I didn't even write. It was from a 45 my dad had got me when I was a kid. And but it's a very funny song, and I guess I perform it in a funny way. And she came up afterwards and said, "Hey, I want you to be in my workshop." So,
Wow.
But Wheezy is right about one thing. I know some people who
Just
have
the one thing.
Just the
I mean,
one.
which is something she
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. You know, I don't. Do you have like the levels of accomplishment in Off the Wall that that the Groundlings have, where you work your way up through the different levels and then make it to the main?
It's not really a school. Dee taught a workshop for years, and I think maybe the Thursday night workshop was more advanced than the Sunday night workshop I think that she had.
What I'm saying is that people that took those classes, even if they didn't want to be comedians or performers, it enhanced their self-esteem, and no matter what they did in their lives, whether they were salesmen or just an office worker, it really helped with their self-confidence in communicating with people.
Absolutely. And one of the things that Andy does with his partner Melinda Chilton was he does a workshop for people who aren't performers, you know, who just want to help with communicating, just to play and have fun. And just to go back earlier, like where it's the history, I think all of us played, especially pre-computer, played cowboys and Indians, and we're very committed to the characters that we played. And you're the Indian, you're the, you know, it's a terrible thing, whatever you were at the time. It was, I guess that's not cool, but whatever it is you're playing, you fully play. And one of the things I really feel passionate about is children and improv. I've taught children improv and in high schools and middle school and grade school, because I think it's a great way to learn how to communicate, to take an idea or something someone says, and rather than stop it, and to listen. Yes, and being off the screens and learning how to communicate, because so many parents, young parents, I know through my daughter and so forth, their kids really struggle sometimes with knowing how to communicate. So I just think it's such a great skill and so much fun. You don't have to be very good. And people say, well, I wouldn't know how to improvise after we've been talking for a while. And I say, well, haven't we just been talking?
Yeah, that's conversation.
Conversation
That's
and
what
improv.
it is.
So when you start to take suggestions from the audience, who is the first on stage to respond? Is it whoever gets the idea first, or is there an order of the performers on stage that you've predetermined?
I would say, since I hardly ever take suggestions because I'm not very good at it, that we do two kinds of performance. We do scenes, just behavior scenes, they're called, and then we do games. But they're performance games. They're not workshop games. They're musical games and things like that. And generally speaking, the people who are going to do those games are pre-established.
Oh, okay.
But then there are lots of open slots during the show too, in a normal show, where we don't know. It's whoever has a feeling for it.
Now, what are the things that people always yell out that you pretend you haven't heard until you get a decent suggestion?
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the improv on the screen.
Well,
what?
I know that when people go to an improv show, there's certain things that they tend to yell out.
Well, four people stuck in an elevator is a big one. That's a famous
Awful.
one.
Right, but do you have the audience yelling out suggestions?
Sure.
And some of them are suggestions you hear all the time that you pretend you haven't heard so that you can get a good one.
Yeah, or I'll say, hey, that's a great idea. Who else has one?
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I think after this long, it'd be pretty boring if you took the same, like, I'm going to listen for the scene that worked well.
Oh, yeah.
That never works for me.
Oh, it's so much harder to remember something you did already. It's just
Yeah.
impossible.
And it would be boring after 50
Right.
years to do that. So it's really exciting and fun to see my fellow improvisers do something completely new in a similar, in the running order. And, oh, my God, I haven't seen that character before. Oh, my God, that character I've seen before, but not with that, with those ideas and so forth. Yeah.
So you started in the dance studio, and then you went to the Improv, where you were for
The
14
greenhouse.
We were at
the greenhouse.
The greenhouse
okay.
restaurant
So
briefly.
there. And then now you're down at the Culver City location called
The Fanatic Salon.
Fanatic Salon. What an interesting name.
It was a hair salon, and it was called Fanatic Hair Salon, and they literally just went up there and put a red X over the word hair on the sign, and now it's called the Fanatic Salon
Oh, that's
Theater.
beautiful.
So, I mean, you guys have been around a long 50th anniversary. I mean, did you have to rebuild your audience when you moved down to Culver City, or did some of your fans follow you, or is it a different audience? Or
It's we didn't have Facebook when we first started. So on Facebook, we just post a flyer for the show, and people can come from wherever to come see it.
I remember when, the first place we worked was a dance studio at Fairfax in Santa Monica. And
Off of Santa,
well,
on
off of
Fairfax
Santa-
in West
on
Hollywood.
Fairfax.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Google Maps later on.
West Hollywood. Oh.
But anyway, I think at that my impression was that largely the audience was middle class, middle aged people from the Valley who came over Laurel Canyon.
That's what I wondered. That's
who
great.
discovered us first when we got a few reviews.
And people can see you all the time because it's not the exact same show every time, right?
No, not at all.
Every week, yeah.
Yeah, it's different every week. And Dee Marcus and her son Norman Marcus produced the show, and in going over all of the photos and reviews and so forth, Andy and I collected to make a montage for our 50th anniversary show at the Improv 2 nights ago. It was really amazing to see how much work they had put into advertising and printing up the reviews. And we happened to get, from the get-go, fantastic reviews from
LA
Herald
Times,
Examiner,
Variety, Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah, it was
That's how I got in the group, because when I moved, after the Pitcher Players went belly up, I moved back to San Francisco for a little under a year. Then I came back here. And I read a review of Off the Wall in the Times. And I realized that I knew Dee Marcus from up north, and Susan Elliott, who had been in my old group, the Pitcher Players, was in Off the Wall at the time. So I just went over there to see the show.
You need me.
No, actually, there were 3 people leaving at the same time.
Yes.
Judy,
Judy Askins is her name now. Judy Pioli Irvin Askins, G. Irvin Pioli Askins, Mark Sotkin, and Chris Thompson all got kind of taken. I mean, there were people coming by, scouting for talent to do different things, and they happened to be verbally in a certain, style that Harvey Miller, I think, grabbed them and took them off to Paramount, and they became baby writers for that whole Laverne and Shirley and those shows there.
Gary Marshall stuff.
Yes, and then Mark, I think, went on to, Chris started Bosom Buddies, and Mark later became the showrunner for Golden Girls and a number of other shows.
He also produced
Judy,
It's a Living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys did a pilot, right, with John Ritter for
we
ABC.
Did. And just as a correction, in terms of members, earlier you said, I think, Belushi and
Jim Belushi,
but he was never a member, nor was Chevy Chase. We had we have a wonderful series of guests that joined us.
Recurring guests.
Recurring guests.
Yeah. I got you.
So, but the members are just,
The pilot we did in, I think, 1979, and John was our special guest for it. on ABC. It was the first improvised pilot on television.
It was 79, yeah.
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 I wanted to ask you about Whose Line Is It Anyway? Only in its ability to make America and the world aware of that art
Fantastic.
form, and it probably jacked up your business a little bit,
Yeah,
too.
it was fantastic. And Archie Hahn, one of our members, who sort of moved to Florida, but he was on the original Whose Line Is It Anyway?
The ironic thing is that Dee and I pitched the show to ABC, and we pitched it as a Whose Line Is It Anyway show because we wrote in that there would be a guy who was like the liaison to the audience, who was not necessarily a part of the group, that would take the suggestions. And it turned out that that's what Drew Carey ended up doing. Mm-hmm. And it was the same format, basically.
Did they steal your idea?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that suddenly there was this TV show. And
I mean, I think there was a British version, right?
Yeah, that was
on
for
first.
a while, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does following the rules of improv comedy impact friendships?
In other words, do we apply it to our real lives?
Yeah.
Like a religion? I'm not sure.
Not a religion, but the yes and sort of philosophy.
I think part of being a good human being is doing those things. Yeah, I would.
Acknowledging other people's opinions and thoughts. And
right.
Listening.
Yeah, whatever you say.
I'd say we collaborate better on stage than off. If I had to be honest.
Are there 4 people on stage for all your shows? Or more?
Well, actually,
There's usually 6 of us.
the cast is 3 of us.
5 now.
Harry Murphy, Bernadette Burkett, and Tom Tully. And then
And if you count Carol Weiss, because she's certainly a member of the company, she's the keyboard player.
Yeah.
And she's on stage the whole time
And
invaluable.
and Jack Herman and Paul, who hasn't been with us too much at the Fanatic, has come back recently to join.
Because of a physical problem I had, but I think
and so Paul's back
I'm able
too.
to overcome it, depending on the.
Yeah, and Tom Tully. I'm not sure I mentioned Tom Tully, and Tully and Bernadette both came out from Chicago, and Harry too.
1980. Yeah.
And
Harry was also in Second City.
Yeah, Harry was in Second City.
He's the new guy. He's only been there 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and our piano player, one of our very early piano players was a guy named Michael Feinstein.
I know. I thought that was fantastic.
I hear good things.
And I remember when Robin came into, he was not famous. He'd been a pretty well-known stand-up and, improvising a little bit.
He was living in his car.
He was living in his car. And he
came from San Francisco. He came down from San Francisco.
Yeah, and so he joined the workshop, and Dee very quickly said, "Hey, would you like to perform with us and be a member of the show?" And so he said, "Sure." And then John Ritter, who Dee knew from another workshop, Harvey Lembeck's workshop, he would come by very regularly. And just a quick story, if I may, his son Tyler is a friend of my daughter Romy, and he came on Sunday to our 50th anniversary show. And Tyler said it was very moving to see these pictures in the montage of his dad, because his dad passed when Tyler was in high school. And he said, it was so moving to see this vital living part of my dad's life that I really hadn't been a part of. And I think Rod Gist, who was a member, also played. I mean, John came in a lot to play with Robin and Rod, and it was just such an exciting time on stage, such a fun time.
Wow.
And big audiences. And I made cupcakes for our 50th anniversary show, and as I was doing that, my daughter was saying, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Well, I used to make the bundt cakes and cook, so we would have things to serve in our original shows." And every New Year's Eve, it was not an issue. I was kind of like, "Oh, what am I going to do New Year's?" No problem, because we do 2 shows on New Year's Eve. You never had to worry about a place to be, because we had people coming in to celebrate New Year's with us, and for years and years it was.
Are you celebrating the
delightful.
50th every weekend throughout the 50th year?
I think we should.
We kind of are. At the Fanatic.
What I mean is people can come and see a 50th anniversary show.
Absolutely. They'll see a wonderful show, and we have great
and
snacks.
buy a T-shirt and a hat.
Yeah.
So what's the website? I just wondered where people could buy tickets and see what the dates
The
are.
Fanatic Salon.
The Fanatic Salon is.
And our next show, I mean, I don't know when this shows.
FanaticSalon.com.
Yeah, FanaticSalon.com, and we do a show every month there.
October 26th will be the next one.
Yeah.
Would you say that being an improv performer makes you more bold in social situations?
I'm very shy at parties. I'm kind of a wallflower guy. And one of the best times I ever had at a party was I went immediately from the show to this party. and I was still in MC mode. And I walked in, and suddenly I'm the guy at the party, who I'm not.
I understand that.
Yeah.
No, it's true. When the show's over, you're really ready for the show.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
I know.
Thanks for coming along down the media path, and however you have found your way to us, we would love for you to like and subscribe and give us a nice review, because as creators, it is our appointed duty to ask you to do that. You may also want to find us on Instagram and Blue Sky, where we are at Media Path Pod, and on Facebook, where our show page is Media Path Podcast, and our Facebook group is Media Path with Fritz and Wheezy Podcast Community. If you are listening to our show, we are also a video podcast on YouTube at Media Path Podcast. You can write to us at mediapathpodcast@gmail.com. My TikTok is Louise Palanker, where I post behind-the-scenes peeks and clips from the show. And Fritz's TikTok is Fritz Coleman Comedy. He posts stand-up clips and popular dance crazes. Our website is mediapathpodcast.com. There you can binge episodes and our spicy newsletter. Thank you so much. On with the rest of the show.
Do you ever take this on the road?
We went to Edinburgh. We did the
I
Fringe
did
Festival.
the year 2000.
We did
were there
too.
2001.
No,
2001.
We were there
that's when you
2001.
went.
2001. Yeah.
But I've always been fascinated. My friends have done it. And I wonder.
2000.
Yeah, it was 2000. You're
It was
right.
2000.
It's 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
We rented a big
Mr.
house that we all
Wikipedia
stayed
says
in.
2000.
It felt like
We
were
all
there for
stayed in a
years.
big
Error in
house.
Wikipedia.
And you busker, you have to hand out all
Yeah,
your
you gotta
stuff.
get
We
people
made
to
all
come
kinds
in.
of
And how are the
swag.
audiences? I mean, are there cultural differences that you have to surmount?
Yeah. I mean, I think you've done stand-up all over the country, maybe the world. Wherever you are, you have to take your audience into consideration.
Yeah.
But we were competing against puppetry of the penis at that time in that particular show.
How did that go?
Well, we had more
Bernadette and I
penises.
saw it.
But
Bernadette and I
the
watched
thing
it.
is, of course, Edinburgh is an international festival.
Yeah.
So the audience comes from all over the world. So it's pretty hard to figure exactly what their references
Yes.
are.
We asked for we do a night school class and go, what is something you study in night school? And somebody yelled out, macrame. And we didn't know what they were talking about. They were saying macrame.
Macrame.
Oh, that's so funny.
Macrame.
Macrame.
Macrame. Do you the one on the
Every
macrame?
craft is Scottish.
How was that experience? I know friends that have gone over there and just loved it. Were you well received? The Scottish people are cordial.
I think we were very well received.
That's awesome.
Initially, there wasn't a great deal of excitement because what we do is not groundbreaking or anything.
No.
It's just good.
Yeah.
So there. But we were at the pick of the festival
Yes, we
before
were.
it even started. And,
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And
We had great houses and lots
Well,
of
where
laughs.
happened is it built.
Were you in different venues, or do you perform in one
We were
venue?
in one
all the time?
venue.
Just the
But we
Gilded
did
Balloon.
stop in London first, and we did a couple venues there.
Oh,
And a
great.
show for the BBC.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, we have a little game called IMDb Roulette. This is going to be an IMDb Roulette special edition. Were you in it? So I am going to...
You can't lose at this because she's very proud of knowing all the answers ahead of
No,
time.
I've just done my homework, and there's a cheat sheet. So he always accuses me of being a know-it-all.
No, I do. I
send him the
somebody
answers,
has to
too.
do the work.
Who's the know-it-all now after you get my email, huh?
I know.
All right, so we're going to yell. Fritz and I are going to yell out the name of a show, and then you have to remember whether or not you were in it. We'll start with Mork and Mindy.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us if you remember who you play.
I
and
don't.
Do you remember anything about being on the set and having this experience?
I was very young and it was fun and I kind of didn't know what I was doing too much, but I was...
Did you know Robin from Improv at that point? Or
Well,
no?
of course. No, he was in Off the Wall and was discovered kind of in Off
Yeah,
the
that's
Wall.
what I mean. I just
with
wondered
us.
if you knew him when you were working on the show.
No, in fact, we all went to his wedding in San Francisco, to his first wife,
well, in Marin County. Yeah.
Marin County.
Well,
yeah.
your IMDb credit is Future Bride. Does that help you remember who you played?
I guess a future bride.
Yeah. But nothing else?
Maybe
Should we-
Tom was in that.
Were you in? Did you do Mork and Mindy, Andy?
No.
Oh,
I did.
Okay, Fritzy, what do you
I
got?
did Mork and Mindy.
Hill Street Blues.
once again.
I was in it.
Andy and Paul both were in it.
Oh,
Okay.
hang on. I was
Oh,
the
all three of
dispatch
you-
voice. We have a 9/11.
You were?
We did looping for that show.
I don't know that there's any printed information about that.
Oh no,
There's-
probably not.
She's the opening voice
yes,
of the show.
we have a
Every-
9/11.
Oh, you mean
See the man.
the constant thing?
Yeah,
Did
every
you get
week.
residuals?
Every
Yes,
week.
I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I know
That's
well.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, Dee had a good friend named Greg Hoblet who became Stephen Bochco's right-hand man, and he was a big fan of Off the Wall. And we went. It's actually kind of an interesting story.
Did
if we
he
have
direct
We
the
have,
pilot?
we have tons of time.
Okay.
Did he direct the pilot? He directed the pilot of
It was a presentation. I
NYPD
remember
Blue.
Yeah.
This was something else that I did before I really knew. Since my background is improvisation, I wasn't that used to working from a script. So I didn't have a lot of those chops. I got them, but for this particular occasion, I didn't do a very good job, and I always hate it when I don't do a very good job. But he was a very kind and giving guy. So
Greg,
he didn't hurt me physically.
I have if we have time, you can cut this out. But I have a really amazing. I've never told this story.
We are here to learn about the depths of your life. So you just go ahead and.
All right. So I was a baby actress. I really hadn't been. I was like an improviser, and I was insecure about. I was taking acting classes and all that. Since I wasn't going to do that, once I started deciding that's what I wanted to do, being a waitress and a secretary at the same time. And anyway, so Greg called me and he said, I'd like you to audition for this role. And this happened to be a role of a hooker for Hill Street Blues. I was, like I said, new. The show was new. And so I went in to read and they said, well, you have a callback. So in my mind as a baby actress, I thought like, oh, I guess Greg doesn't think I can really do it because he knows I'm an improviser. Oh my God, I'm going to have to figure this all out. So I changed my outfit. I tried to memorize everything overnight. I'm not the best memorizer in the world. Anyway, and I had these cool sling back what I thought were sort of hookery shoes. And I go into and there was another gal there and I thought, oh my God, they want me, there's other people they're going to have for the role. I mean, I didn't know that's kind of pro forma that, there's probably 3 or 4. Oh my gosh. And my knees started shaking. The bottoms of my feet got all slippery, because I'm like early 20s. And I go into the room and I had memorized and choreographed in my mind this whole massage thing I was going to do. And I walk in the room, completely different than what I had done, simply reading the script, which I got a callback for. And there was Stephen's desk over here with a big blotter and some papers, Stephen Bochco here, Greg, the casting director there, and 2 other producers or something. So I'm starting in on this massage, doing the lines, and my feet are so sweaty that as I turn around the corner of my pantomime table, I start to fall. And I grab myself on the blotter, which of course slips off. And the papers go everywhere, and I fall down and flip all the papers. And on the floor, I said, could I start over? Could I start again? I said, no, thank you so much. And Greg's face was like, oh my God, I called her in. And it was horrifying. And I'm sobbing, walking out of the CBS studios. And this even younger than me, 17-year-old, and in some sort of on studio acting class goes, are you okay? What's the matter? I said, I just had the worst audition in the whole world. It was like one of my first real auditions. And she goes, my acting teacher says it's never as bad as you think it is. And it really was.
Did you get the part?
Of course not. And in fact, I didn't read for anything for years. And then Greg finally had me audition for a couple things. And so I worked on Primal Fear, and I worked on a couple other movies with Greg directing. And then those were great. But I really, that was a terrifying and wonderful story.
It was
but
just
now
slippery shoes.
It was
good acting.
nerves and slippery shoes.
All 3 of you were in Hill Street Blues, but let's talk about Andy's participation specifically. What do you remember about doing Hill Street Blues? Or did you do more than one?
I remember that it wasn't a big role. I was a guy carrying a ladder. and I would knock stuff over, I guess, because I was supposed to turn with the ladder and knock stuff over. I remember that specifically, and I think I had another role
For an
on
extra
there.
point, what was the person's name?
Oh, man, and you actually have that information?
Yeah, of course, I have everything.
Oh,
You got the email?
Larry, I don't know.
Gradsky.
I remember
How
that
could you
now
forget
that you
that
say
name?
it.
All right. Raise your hand if you were in Laverne and Shirley. All right. What do you remember, and who did you play?
I played 2 different characters. The first show I did, I played 2 different characters. The first show I played a character named Eraserhead, which I hated because of the movie. I thought they could have come up with a different name. But anyway, and that was a bad date for Shirley, replacing somebody who dropped out. And it was actually a nice part. There's enough to do. And Phil Foster was a great help because he gave me a whole bunch of tips on how not to do things when you weren't supposed to be doing things. And it was just sort of basics, you know. And this was very early in my TV acting career. So
not to fall off your shoes.
well, but also just not to do too much, and you know what the things that are sort of second nature if you've been doing it for a while. But I hadn't done it very much, and then I played the same character in 2 subsequent episodes. But then the last show that I did was in the last season, right after Cindy left to have her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael McKean wasn't there, and Phil Foster wasn't there, and wasn't there, and it was basically just Squiggy.
Wow.
And
Penny Marshall.
And then so the plot of this episode, which they had to hastily assemble, was that the Russian ballet was in town, and the primo ballerino was going to defect, whatever they call him. Anyway, so he was going to defect, and there were, this wasn't long after Baryshnikov and Nureyev defected. So the thing is, he was a dead ringer for Squiggy. So,
oh my
and
God.
who played the ballerina?
Well,
him.
so no, he did a little bit of dancing as well as he might have expected. But Wendy was also in the show.
Yes, I was the prima ballerina. I got to kiss Squiggy.
Was that as Vivian?
You kissed Squiggy?
Yes, I kissed Squiggy.
Oh, how romantic.
And he played the Russian...
well, let me just finish this. I played a KGB agent and an actor named John Brent, who had been in the committee, just a wonderful, crazy man. And we played KGB agents, and of course Michael, the other one, David
Lander,
of course,
Lander.
Played both roles. Played, of course, obviously,
okay.
but we improvised a lot of it. We really did because we played and everybody there was comfortable with doing it. So a lot of it was spontaneous, and the cat was away. So the mice could play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that in your other shows. Like, it's Garry Shandling's show. It seemed like they let you guys be yourselves.
There was a little bit of that, but there was definitely a script, But Garry did encourage it if it worked. And I would say there was more in the Larry Sanders Show.
And he would let you try it. If it worked, that would be the take.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was sort of halfway from there to... not really, to something like Curb Your Enthusiasm, which works from a scenario.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I remember in the last episode that I did of Larry Sanders, I played several different characters in that show. I played his accountant who had lost all his money. So, but we had this big scene and a big confrontation in his office, and Garry gave me so much to work with. A good deal of your impetus as an actor comes from overcoming obstacles. He gave me a huge number of obstacles to overcome in this, trying to explain what happened to all his money. And that was just a wonderful experience, but a lot of it was spontaneous.
And you made up the monologue that explained all this bad news? You improvised that?
Well, I'm making this up right now, what I'm saying.
Very good.
No, it was there. The bones were there.
Man, that's fun. That sounds awesome. Wendy, I don't want to get away because you also played Mrs. Plout on Laverne and Shirley. Do you remember
Again,
that
one of
role?
my very early acting with eyebrows, I believe is what someone called it. I played a pregnant woman in a...
What does that mean, acting with eyebrows?
Well, it was before I really knew what I was doing, and a lot of acting with eyebrows and moaning with eyebrows. But Chris, Mark, and Judy also were working on Laverne and Shirley as producers and writers, so there was that too. I mean, it was kind of Paramount was a campus for a lot of people, and Garry Shandling had been in. I remember the day in Dee's workshop where he said, I'm gonna stop just writing. I want to do stand up. I really feel that's my gifting. It was just sort of like, I'm going to stop this. I'm committing this right now and saying this in front of the whole workshop.
He had written Welcome Back, Kotter, and then he said that was it.
I want to do stand up, and so. He was he was actually as Andy, we discovered, is going through some more papers for the, 50 reunion or 50-year celebration. Garry had kept notes on our bowling team scores. And he wrote
he would write the newsletter
Yeah.
sometimes. So we took turns, but we have several newsletters that he wrote back in, 1976 or something.
I thought the documentary
the bowling team.
Judd Apatow did about him was brilliant.
It really was.
Oh, my gosh, it was so well done. I emailed Judd and I said, every beginning comedian who wants to know, is this an art form? Is this just a pastime? Needs to watch this to see somebody who thought about it as high art as Garry did. It was amazing.
Okay, you have number 4.
I'm sorry.
You want me to do number 4?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I
Otherwise,
wrote an episode of Laverne and Shirley.
Did you really?
Yes, called Don't Eat the Buzzards.
Seriously?
Don't feed the buzzards.
And what
That's
happens?
it. Don't feed the buzzards.
What happens?
What happens? They're discovering gold. I'm trying to remember. It was so long ago. It was a hidden, buried treasure. And again, I think neither Cindy nor Penny were there, so it was I wrote it for them, but then it became a Lenny and Squiggy show, and they're out in the desert looking for gold.
That's great.
Wow. All right, Columbo.
I was in Columbo.
What'd you play, Paul?
I played the guy who brought the cleaning. Oh, you?
Yeah,
I
you're
said
right.
I'm not that old.
Oh.
You got this correct, Paul.
You were right. You were the delivery man.
Yeah, I brought the clue.
Was it a clue?
Cool.
Yes.
Solved the crime.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
what was it? Do you remember?
And also, he was wearing my shirt in the scene because we were shooting in Malibu, and it was afternoon, and the sun was beating into this little house there, and I had brought a couple of shirts because I got to bring alternatives, So anyway, could he use your shirt? Okay, I'd be happy. Then I wanted to save it. I wanted to get it right off his back because I worked with a friend in San Francisco who was a huge fan of Peter Falk.
Oh, that's so funny.
But they wouldn't let me.
Now it's
I had to pick it up from wardrobe after it was cleaned.
No,
I still gave my friend the shirt, but that was quite something because he didn't want to meet me before we shot the scene because I have to tell you, meeting him was like meeting a force of nature. You could smell cigar smoke before you could see him, But it was really fun to work with him.
Before they had satellite TV, Peter Falk was a huge basketball fan.
Oh, yeah?
And he would come over to NBC when they would have the basketball playoffs and bring over donuts and beer or something and talk his way in there to watch the early feed of the basketball playoffs at NBC. He was an interesting cat.
Wow.
All right, Inspector Gadget. Oops, I took your.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So who is?
I think I just did voiceovers for Inspector Gadget. I
Yeah.
don't think I appeared on camera.
Do you remember who your voiceover was of?
I thought I did a bunch of them, but I don't remember specifically.
Dr. Null.
Dr. Null.
You know what a therapist named Dr. Null?
Exactly.
And he actually plays a therapist called Dr. Malloy. You can barely
Dr.
understand.
We have an important one
Yes.
in pop culture circles, and this is Office Space.
I'm in Office Space.
So
Yeah.
tell us about.
God, that's like the big cult movie of
Yep.
all time.
Oh, yeah. I played Bob Porter, the shorter Bob. And that was quite an experience because I think Mike Judge is a genius.
Yeah.
And the movie that followed that, what's it called? Again.
Office parking?
No. The one about chaos and everything disintegrating, falling apart. Well, I can't remember at the moment. Idiocracy. It was unfortunately
Another big cult movie.
Well, it was not quite as big as Office Space, but yeah. He's a guy who liked people to improvise. He wanted to do the script as well, but then he had us playing, and because the schedule had changed, and I almost didn't get in the movie. I was number 2. The guy who was number 1 had a contract at the Goodman Theater to do a play, and another actor in the movie could only do it in this time frame. So it became a 3-week part became a 1-week part, but it was pretty intensive with Mike Judge and the two of us in a room and with the other actors doing all these scenes at once, basically over the course of a few days. So it was an interesting experience, and it was a way of like the arc happening really quickly, so we could sort of figure out where we were, in the overall story, and act accordingly. But it was a lot of fun because Mike would sit there and give us suggestions, and
So how does that work? You do this. You do the written script first, and then he says, "All right, give me something else."
Yeah, just or make suggestions. Why don't you try this? Or now apparently the most famous line that I had in the movie was, trying to figure out how to pronounce Nakameninajad. Yeah. And I said, no, just, it doesn't matter. He's not going to be working here anymore. and that was the line I created. And, it was after I tried to do it as a motor scooter, like, and that didn't work. But there was a spirit of play, and he was a lot of fun to work with.
Who is Bob Porter, and what's his storyline?
Oh, he and his partner are what they used to call efficiency experts. Mm-hmm. They got a different name for it now, technology, some sort of technology. But
Doge.
They would, yes. Well, they don't even. Doge is not about efficiency. It's just about amputation,
elimination. Yes.
But anyway, that's so these guys go to a corporation and decide who's Deadwood. Okay. And we find that many of the people there are Deadwood, and it's a very funny movie if you haven't seen it. But that's our function, and we're sort of cold about it, and uncaring, and there's even a little pleasure involved in getting rid of people,
Did you come to work with a toddler on your shoulders? No?
I speaking of that, when we were at the Improv, and Bernadette and I were both pregnant at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and we were very pregnant on stage, and people would make suggestions like a singles bar, because that was the time singles bar were really happening, and Bernadette and I were like, well, we can still play those things, and the boys finally said, you guys. You can't. We were the only two women in the show at the time, and they said, "This is getting really frustrating because you obviously you're pregnant, and we're trying to do singles bar, and it just turns into the same joke, And so I think we brought in did Phyllis or Mary Edith come in at that? That we had a substitute woman come in to sort of round it out, and when we finally make it less round, and then when Bernadette and I both had our daughters within about 5 weeks of each other, Hillary and Romy, we then of course were still performing because you can't keep us off the stage, and we would check to make sure neither of us were leaking on stage, and then we did 3 sets at the Improv on Monday nights, 3 acts and 2 intermissions, and at the intermissions we'd go out into the into the alley and pump.
Sure.
And somebody once thought we were using a bong. Like, hey man, you guys got a bong? It's like, we're pumping.
How long were the sets when you did?
No, we did 3 hours every Monday night
at the Improv.
When I went in and pitched us, I said, it's called the improvisation, but you have no improvisation here. It's all stand-ups. Mm-hmm. So they said, oh, okay, well, you want to do Monday nights, and maybe we'll get a couple of other improv groups. And I didn't want to do that. So I go, we'll do the whole night.
Was that before they gave you the side room there? You had your own stage?
Yeah, the side room didn't exist.
Yeah, no,
we
that
never
didn't
had
exist
the side
back
room.
then.
We were
we were
stage.
on the main stage.
We were on the main stage.
There was
for
a
14
furniture
Monday.
factory next door.
What was that?
It was a furniture factory.
Oh,
yeah, no, and Andy became the acting director after Dee left in about 1980, right?
Yeah.
1979, 80, and so he's had the service for all these years of being
And
the
Monday
director.
night became dance night there also.
Yes.
So after our show, it was the place to be because
Honestly,
nothing else was
it was
open on Monday
amazing,
night.
and all great comedians who are famous now would try their stuff up after our
Yeah,
shows.
Jerry Seinfeld,
came, Paula Poundstone
Yeah.
was there.
Roseanne.
Lano.
Of course, Robin would come in sometimes.
Yeah, and he'd still come in and guest in with us. And
So it was quite the scene.
It was such a wonderful scene.
All right, we
It's
have 2
amazing.
more, and they're trick questions because, well, you'll find out. The first is the goodbye girl.
We're all in there.
We're all in there.
You're all in
yeah.
it. So tell us about that.
We
Go
played
for it, Dan.
we played an improv group
Yeah.
that Richard Dreyfuss was a member of, and then he goes off. We all do it. We improvised a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. They didn't use a lot of it, but they had us basically bowing at the end of a scene. I think we go off stage. We go to the dressing room. I take off my shirt. I'm sharing a dressing room with Richard Dreyfuss. An old friend said if I had worked out, maybe I'd had a career today. But and then Nicole Williamson, who's playing,
It was the Mike Nichols character.
who's playing Mike Nichols, comes in and discovers Richard Dreyfuss, and I had a couple lines in there or something, and he becomes.
And originally, when they shot it, the exterior was the New York Improv, the interior was the L.A. Improv,
Right.
And we run on the stage, and then we were standing upstage while he and Marilyn Sokol, who was a co-star in the movie, did this
Amazing.
improvisation, which was written by Neil Simon.
Yeah.
But it was full of puns and stuff that you couldn't really do because I think Neil Simon hated improvisation. Just absolutely hated it.
He was a writer.
So he didn't want to make it look very good, and they wind up cutting the whole thing.
Yeah.
They
That's
ended
not
up
in it
cutting
at
it.
all. But,
All right. And
Oh,
then,
that's so funny. He didn't want anybody changing his words. Is what I
oh no,
remember.
absolutely not. And the and what's the director's name again?
Gene Sachs?
No. Very famous director. He did a lot of dance films. He did
Herb Ross.
Herb Ross.
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you.
thank you, Ref.
set, right there,
It was a great experience.
Yeah, it was.
And it's a terrific
I mean, we were
movie, too,
really-
so it's really
yeah.
nice
I
to be
love
part
that.
of it.
Yeah.
How fun
Yeah, it
to
was
be
so
in
fun.
something so timeless.
I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Okay, I'm dancing as fast as I can. Another trick question.
Again, I think voiceover.
I think that's
Yeah,
an
looping.
ADR looping
Yeah.
thing. So
It was a
You're all
looping
in
thing.
it.
well, then through looping. So
Okay.
D started. This Hill Street Blues. Greg Hoblet tapped Dee's improv group to have this new improvised looping, and at the time there was just
It started with John Ritter did a movie called Hero at Large.
Right.
Okay.
And they wanted a loop group to come in, and he said, well, why don't you get off the wall, because they're great. So we came in and we looped Hero at Large.
well, because they didn't want to have to use library. They were trying this new thing. Let's see if we can't find groups of people to improvise appropriate scenes, and so that's what I spent much of my career. All of us doing some looping in ADR.
I got started that
What's
way.
on
yeah.
the screen while you're looping the dialogue?
It's post production. It's the cut version, and then we get
We'd
just
fill
the
in all
scene.
the
We fill in all the
background
background.
voices.
So we'll fill in this.
I got you.
ADR
Okay.
looping.
So
And if
whatever the
there's
setting
a-
is, you say stuff appropriate to people
Yes,
that would be at an
so-
art gallery or at a
exactly, and you'll do the research for
Hospital,
that. So for
police station.
for Hill Street Blues, Greg wanted it really to be specific. He said, "That's no point. I'll use library if you guys don't really know what you're talking about." So we went on drive-alongs. We did a number of days
Yeah.
in the police
A lot of
station.
research.
A lot of research. And back in the day, I think. I mean, I know I can't speak for Andy, who's done a lot of looping, and I have done a lot of looping in ADR, but also speak languages and stuff. And so you do a lot of research. If it's medical stuff, watch videos and write I have notebooks and notebooks. And I had a job a couple months ago that required a lot of research. And I thought, I'm going to try this Chat GPT thing. And I went in, what would people say in, Marseille at a train station in 1976?
Boom, there it is.
It's like I would have spent days doing that
It's
research.
pretty scary.
It's
So wild.
But it's wild. But so we did all these kinds of research, and it's really fun. I did Titanic and a gajillion other movies that Gladiator. And so you're either screaming or getting specific or adding voices. Spock's computer on that reboot of the Star Trek. I did Spock's computer, Commander Spock. If you continue, those kinds of things. And you can sprinkle them in and.
Are you the lady who gives directions in our car?
I wish.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably.
So,
Go ahead.
no, we're going to be wrapping up soon. So, what did you want? Did you want to ask a last question?
I just wanted to ask, is there a moment in your careers as an improv group that will resonate with you for the rest of your life? One night when you had a spectacularly successful
Which
evening.
not that long now.
Yeah.
And,
I think Edinburgh would definitely.
Mike Nichols was in the audience. Or did you have an experience like that you'll never forget?
This might not be exactly what you're looking for, but we were doing our show in the dance studio, and Norman Lear came to see the show. And so I thought we had a great first set, and we'd take an intermission and sell cookies or whatever, And Norman Lear comes right up to me, and I'm thinking, well, this is it, I'm about to be discovered. And he goes, boy, is that Robin Williams funny.
Oh, wow.
Well, at least he confided in you.
That's something I will always remember.
Wow.
There was one night when Robert Alda and Alan Alda came.
Oh, my.
Nice.
And Gene Hackman was a regular
he'd come.
audience
Oh, wow.
member. He loved watching us.
When we were at the greenhouse.
At the Improv.
Really?
The Improv, yeah. And
Yeah.
Dudley Moore came, played piano.
Oh, that was a night I'll remember.
Yeah.
Dudley Moore came to the show and loved the show. And Carl Gottlieb invited us all to his house. And Dudley Moore came along and played piano brilliantly. And I have to say, I'm so happy to have had this life and career. It has been so much fun.
So many.
Honestly, I couldn't pick something out like that.
No, just like a like an array of memorable raindrops
Absolutely
falling
beautiful.
through your life, constantly leaving beautiful memories that you, as you're falling asleep at night, you're like, was I there when that happened? Did Norman Lear talk to me about Robin Williams?
Norman Lear almost kicked me out of the studio once because I was working on an episode of America Tonight, and
Fernwood Tonight.
America Tonight, the last season, with Lynn Marie Stewart, the late, sweet Lynn Marie Stewart. I played a kidnapper, and she was my hostage. We took the show overnight, and the second day, I had stubble, and we both looked very disheveled. We were standing in the hallway. Norman Lear came around the corner and almost called security, which is a testament, I guess, to our preparation.
Now, what would have been funnier is if he had walked up to you and remarked on how funny Robin Williams is.
Yes, that would have been,
But we do have to get like a little bit of a Cheers story or, because you were a regular at the bar, correct?
Well, not a completely regular, but a mostly regular for the last 3 years. And I did a couple of early shows, too, as different characters. But, yeah, that just sort of gradually developed and unexpectedly, I think.
You refused to leave the bar, right?
Yeah, that's what happened. But I guess it just clicked. Well, for one thing, Norm and Cliff became more three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So they needed somebody who was two-dimensional so that they could be more three-dimensional, have that same...
Tone it down a little bit?
Yeah, right. So that to keep that value there, but not, make it harness them.
That's so interesting.
And George Bernadette Burkett in our group was married to George Wendt. And she's such a talent, and she was brought out by ABC for a pilot.
Was a sweetheart.
And George was, a frequent guest and wonderful
and so generous
supporter.
with us.
Mm-hmm. They're just an amazing couple.
Did he ever do work with you guys?
Yes, of course.
But what you became, what your career is that we can plug these people in and they're going to add value. That's who you guys are.
Yes, we love having guests, and every show is really different because it's not just the however many of us there are, 6, I guess, and every time we have Fritz, you should come and guest in.
Yeah,
you should.
Oh no, I bring that even to a screeching halt.
No, you would be delightful.
But
you'd be great.
I'm so in awe when it works well and you don't see the webbing.
We would help you.
I do a workshop. I'm doing a workshop tonight in Sherman Oaks, so it's.
You could come and just get your toe wet.
Come
and guest with us. It would be so fun.
I'll come and watch the show. I definitely will.
Okay.
So you're going to continue what you call your 50th anniversary.
It's our 50th year.
Yeah.
So every week now, how often do you do these shows?
Every month.
Okay. And they can go to fanaticsalon.com, and that will give you a schedule and a way to purchase tickets.
Sure.
And it's on Sawtell in Venice.
Yeah, in West LA. It's really great. And I don't think we're listed up there for this week's events. They sometimes don't put us up there until right before.
So it's the week.
But you can also, I
refreshing.
think, don't we have a Facebook page or something with Off the Wall that announces when our shows are in?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
We'll put everything in the show notes.
Off the Wall on Facebook.
Great.
I knew this was going to be a lot of fun.
You guys are awesome.
Probably memories we haven't.
No, there's just
Yeah.
so many.
You'll have to do a series on Off the Wall, actually.
I think we need to. All right, here come your closing credits. We want to thank our guests, Andrew Jameson, Wendy Cutler, Paul Willson, and Andy Goldberg from Off the Wall. Our team includes producer Dina Friedman, John Maddox, Bill Filipiak, Mason Brown, Raf Rusak, Jordan Reyes, Haley Freight, and you. Our theme music is by me and John Maddox. I am Louise Palanker, here with Fritz Coleman and the cast of Off the Wall. Be well and wise, take good care of each other, and we will see you along the media path.
He was the first guy.
Oh, right, of course.
Yeah, right.
All right, should we get a picture?
By the way, it's Wilson with 2 L's.
I know, that was the thing when I first was looking for you on IMDb. I'm like...